Welcome guys, my name is Eric and we are inside the A320NEO V2, which is the version that comes inbuilds on Flight Simulator, which has almost everything accessible. This is a great airplane. Those who are familiar with the Airbus cockpit is gonna see that it looks pretty much the same with the Neo. The difference that we have, it's with the engines, with the winglets, and with the performance within the aircraft. So we're gonna be making a short flight, a very short flight. I'm gonna try to make the video as quick as possible. But as you guys know, we are not flying a Cessna 152. So we have procedures to follow. So we're going to try to be as quick as we can, and following each procedure that we need to follow. So we start up here, which is the main panel. So the main panel, as you guys can see over here in this line, Airbus, it's a manufacturer that helps a lot because it gives us for the pilots instructions that makes way easier to find what you need. As you guys can see here, the panel, he explains itself. As you guys can see, fire here. So we have the engine 1, the engine 2, APU, fire extinguisher. Over here you have the hydraulic, which is pretty much explaining itself. We got the fuel, so we have the cross feed, the APU, the tanks on the right wings, on the center of the aircraft, and the left wings. Over here you got the electric panel, which you have the batteries, the voltage. When this button shows green, saying "Avail," which is available, that means outside the airplane it is this truck here that you can see, which is the EPU, external power unit. So it's giving the aircraft all the power that it needs to do the pre-flight check and all the important before the flight, so the pilot and the company and the clients don't have to be wasting fuel and wasting the APU, which is the auxiliary power unit. We got the air conditioner, so you can pretty much control temperature in the aircraft. You have the ram air in case of the APU fail. It's little fan that drops down beneath the aircraft, which allows the pilot, in case of emergency, to be flying with the very, very important controls. It's the ailerons, so you have all the vents open. You got the chocks, which is very important on the aircraft. You got the exhaust systems, the hydraulic systems. You guys can see here, from one wing to another, one landing gear to another. All the brake system. Over here you can see the fan for the brakes and both wheels. That is right there. It's a great airplane. Great airplane. So in the simulator, it's different. So we're gonna try to make a flight that it's most and the closest way possible to real life. As you guys know, different from a very small aircraft, you do not make decisions by yourself. So the company, it doesn't matter if it's an airliner, if it's a cargo or passenger, always the dispatcher is gonna give you the way. It's gonna fill it up the airplane. It's gonna give you all the navigation plan, all the routes, and normally most of the companies, what the pilot has to do is just see the fuel. If the fuel it's all right with the route, if you got enough reserve fuel in to any emergencies that might occur, and that's pretty much it. Because since it's a jet and it is a commercial airplane, it's an airliner airplane, you do not make decisions just because you want to. Everything has to be asked. So, from the tower, you have to, if you want to change anything, you have to communicate, you have to talk through the ATC. So over here we're gonna start with aligning the systems, navigation, which tells the aircraft where the aircraft is. So when we put on the FMC our navigation plan, our flight plan, everything works just fine. So everything it's very studied, and everything is very calculated with the climb, with the cruise at altitude, with the speed, the descent, the approach, the landing, flaps, everything. Of course, many pilots loves to fly the airplane manually when it is possible, of course. But this plane's pretty much fly by itself. What the pilot normally do in a plane like this, which is the A320NEO, is actually manage. What he's gonna do is manage how the engine's doing, oil pressure, air system, electricity, fuel pumps, tanks, fuel pressure, temperature. If the FMC is warning about anti-ice or and after that normal procedures, which is a standard procedures and universal procedures, has to be followed. Like any airport in the planet, you need to be 3,000 feet AGL, which stands for above ground level. So if you're flying above the airport that you are going to land or around, you be in touch with the tower to follow the heading, speed, and everything that they tell you to do. If you want to change altitude, heading, speed, you have to communicate with the tower. So first thing we're gonna do is we're gonna turn the battery on, which it is to start the basics instruments. As you guys can see, lights are coming out, but all the lights are showing fault because it needs power. So we need the external power. So we come here to the electricity panel, we turn it on, and as you guys can see, right away the air conditioner starts to work. All the ventilation systems from the aircraft. First thing you have to do is turn on the tanks, pumps, which here is the left tanks on the wing, center. And the right pumps. As I said, this aircraft is pretty amazing, so if anything goes wrong, the light fault will come up. So as you guys can see, we turn it off, we turn it on. Before it goes on, he always show you fault. When the fault goes off, that means everything is okay. So when you got the tanks, you always turn on the cross feed. So the pump, if the computer sees that the fuel is unbalanced, this engine is consuming more fuel than this one, and these tanks have less fuel than this one, the pump starts cross feeding the tanks after emptying the center tanks, which is very, very important. It's very, so there is checklists to follow. You test the fire extinguisher. I'm not gonna do the full checklist and all because the video is gonna be very long. So you're gonna align we have to evacuation. If there's an emergency, you can communicate the stewards. GPWS, it's always on. Crew supply, oxygen, on too. Because if there's any loss or loss of pressure, automatically the mask will come down, and the crew, the passengers, will have their time of oxygen. The ventilation systems, the blower, extractor is always in auto. Like I said, the aircraft pretty much do it by itself. Here you have the wiper, which is to clean the windshield when it needed. And there's a couple rules, not couple rules, a lot of rules that needs to be followed. First, you turn the navigation, the logo lights, which stays right here. One is red, the other one is green. That means, as you guys can see here, this one is red. That means it's showing the aircraft is coming from the right to the left. The other side, you're gonna see the light is green. That means showing if from the other side this aircraft is coming from the left to the right. The logo light, it's right there. You guys can see the LED light right there, showing the livery of the airliner or the cargo. Since we are using the livery, the Spanish livery Iberia, so here you got the since we are in a simulator, so the aircraft does not have the letters that identify who is this aircraft, where it comes from, who bought it, who owns the aircraft and everything. But this is the for security reasons, the aircraft when it's off, always the ailerons, as you can see here, and elevators, which you guys can find here, and the rudder. It's always in security position from any crosswind or any heavy storm that might occur. We had some accidents from the, so you always have the pitot. So the pitot, it's responsible to tell the computer and tell the aircraft what is the speeds, the altitude, the temperature, and many other informations that needs to be. So as you can see here, there's many, because if it happens that one goes frozen, the other one can, and in this specific aircraft, all the pitos it's automatically heated. So if when get the cruise altitude, always if get frozen, the possibility to lost any detail or any information on the cockpit, it's very, very minimum. It's not impossible, because nothing is impossible, but and over here inside this nose, when the maintenance comes, when it's needed, this nose come up, and the radar it is right here. So when we align navigation system, we got the fuel pumps, tanks, everything organized, and we got the navigation, the logo light on. Next light is the strobe. You do not turn it on. You only turn it on when you're going into the runway or you going out the runway. So after you exit the runway, you have to turn it off. So this aircraft have the option to stay in auto. So the sensor of speed detects that you are airborne, and then you turn it on automatically, and when it lands, you turn it off automatically. The anti-ice is off. You only turn it on when the FMC tells you to do so. Otherwise, you do not need it. Window heat too. It depends where you are to, where you're going. Cabin pressure. Since in the past we had many problems and many accidents with that. Today it's a way safer because we got the pressurization from their aircraft. It is automatic. So when you press this button, as you guys can see here, it says min. So that means you are selecting the pressure, which is going to be the pressurization from the aircraft. But you do not, never, ever put on mins. It always stays as it is. It's just like it says on the manual of the aircraft. A great thing to do is never have self-confidence. You always have to trust on the procedures, laws, rules, what the manufacturer tells you to do, because they made the airplane, they know how it works, they know their airframe limit, so rules are made to be followed, period. No negotiation about that. If you do that, the possibility for you to have any incident or accident is slim to none. You might get in your life a bird strike or something like that, but you will have all the preparation to deal with emergency situations. Next thing to do, you always put seat belts and smoking in auto position. So the aircraft normally always the no smoke signing, it's always on, and the seat belts, it's always in auto, because there's no need, because the aircraft usually detects there's the need of the seat belt or not. That's normally comes from the decision of the pilot. That is in which is FP, Foxtrot Papa, flying pilot. So next thing, it's arm the emergency lights. As you can see, you got an arm. If there's any emergency, automatically emergency lights will come up. So first thing is first, we already made batteries, external power, fuel pumps, tanks, crossfeed, align, navigation system, oxygen supply, evacuation, emergency, check the electricity panel, fire extinguisher, test each one. Normally, real life pilots, they do not test this every time, because if there is anything wrong, it will come up, but you do not lose any time of your life testing or reinsuring extra security, which is very, very good for everybody. So next thing here, we have the parking brake, which is set. It's right there. A very important thing that needs to be done. And there was an accident which happens in Brazil, that the other aircraft did not have turn it on. As you can see here, the flight management system is telling you what is not. So it's telling you TCAS standby. TCAS, it is an anti-collision system. So this has always to be on. Never, ever has to be off. So you have to come over here, turn it on, take from the standby, take it on, and then when you go back there, the flight management tells you it's good. The fuel, it is on, the crossfeed, so it does not has to be on. Some pilots turn it on, some pilots do not turn it on, because the aircraft, it is balanced. But over here, since we have some fuel right now marks with kilos, but normally it's with pounds. It depends which. Normally it's always stays in pounds, but so the pilot can choose here, so he can monitor, the co-pilot can monitor the bleed, the engine, the cabin pressure, electricity panel, hydraulics. As you guys can see, it is low because we are using just the EPU. When we turn the APU, and we have the hydraulics works just fine. So you have fuel, it shows you the center right wing, the very right side of the wing, the center tanks, left center, and very left side of the wing. And after you check APU, blade system, cabin pressure, which you can, right now the cockpit is 24 degrees Celsius, as you can see Celsius. You have the options to change it to Fahrenheit, depends which culture or which country the pilot comes from. But normally worldwide it's Celsius. Only Fahrenheit it's used in very specific part of the world. You have the doors, all the doors that the aircraft has. Temperature from the brakes, each wheel, auto brake, flight control, that tells you the speed brake, each of the levels of the flaps. As you can see here, after the APU is working, the ailerons start working too, and the rudders and the elevators. And after you check all the status, because sometimes you put here to see if there's any message from the aircraft, because it starts here and continues in the very low of the screen, so everything is fine. So we go when you are secure of the message and you do not need anything else, you just press clear. And normally do not press that, and then you got all. When you press all, the computer is going to show you what it thinks that is important to show you. So right now it's showing me the seat belts are on and the no smoking sign, it is on. So make sure that it is working. As you guys can see, I'm going to turn it off, the signs, and you guys can see here the passenger seat, no sign, it is on. So I'm gonna put both in auto. The computer will automatically turn both signs on. Computer will never ever turn it off. The smoking sign will never allow you to smoke inside the aircraft. And the seatbelt sign will come up when the computer thinks that it needs to be done. Like taxiing, takeoff, any turbulence, before landing. So for security reasons, you always have your seatbelt on. That's it, period. No negotiation, nothing to talk about. That's it. So here we are in Goiania. So first things first, you go, here is the model of the engine, LEAP -1 Alpha 26. You clear the messages, wait for the system to respond. So we have to go from the Goiania, which is Sierra Bravo Golf Oscar dash Sierra Bravo Alpha November, which is Anapolis Airbase. So we go here. As I told you at the beginning, you do not do anything by yourself. You always have the dispatch to give you all the flight plan, everything that needs to be followed. So you have the route right there. You have the flight number. Our flight plan today from Sb, from Goiania to Anapolis. So we have our cost index. It is 5.3. Our cruise altitude and our temperature, it's gonna be 070 slash and you always have the information about what you are using. So we're going to get the tablet. You're going to see here which is going to be the temperature outside, so we can use with our cruise altitude. So we are pretty heavy, so we are going to on you don't do this manually. This is not a pilot's problem. The pilot just gets the information. So we are full. That means we are using 500 on our flight plan. That the fuel that we're gonna be using, and with the reserve, it's gonna be 5,493. So that's our fuel. And for the payload, we're going to be using, again, you don't do that. This is made by itself. So the center gravity of the aircraft always has to be on a green. So on the smaller aircrafts, many calculations has to be done. You have to take the zero fuel weight, which is the weight of the aircraft, and then you have to make many calculations so you can see how much weight you can carry on the aircraft and how much fuel you can get it. So right now we are simulating that we are carrying 186 passengers. As I said, this is the new, it's the Airbus A320NEO. So since it's the new, the Airbus A320NEO, it carries 6 more passengers than the old version. So with that done, you have your normally you always use the Imperial, so you don't have to be confused. So right now our live gross weight, it's 105,558. This is the maximum weight that the airplane can carry. So we just going to, we will not make anything automatically. We will do everything manually so we can learn it. So we're gonna get this number here. It's 105,558, and put it here in takeoff. We're gonna be taking off from runway 32. Departure airport. We're gonna check with the ATC so we can see but before that we have to keep finishing few configurations. So the next step is turn on the radio so you can be in touch. So you just press call, then you turn up the volume, you turn on the button, so the radio is on. We got the TCAS working. This is very important too. This is all what is going to show you on your turn on the flight director. Always control the lights so you can understand, so you can dim the lights since it's pretty bright daylight. Control the lights also from the center panel so you guys can see. The FMC, CPU, co-pilot's gonna control the bright on his side. Of course, if you are the co-pilot or if you are the captain. So you always turn it on. This is very important. That's why you need to follow everything on a checklist. This is weather and terrain. So you can turn it on each sides and the windshield, so you can have everything working. So if there is any weather, clouds, any cumulonimbus, the computer will show you what you have to do. And as a pilot, you need to make decisions so you don't have to go through any incident or accident. Right? So now we are our flight plan says we are departing from the runway 14, but we are going to check with the ATC service. So as you can see here, the frequency is always, the pilot always has the frequencies from the tower, from the departure, from the ground service, from the clearances, from the ATC service, the ATIS, so the weather. But on the real life, you have all this info before you even get on the aircraft. So right now we have the standby frequency, standby, and the active frequency. So we're going to the clearance, because we do not need to go to the ground. As you can see, it changed automatically, but this is done manually right there. See? So you put it right there, the frequency, and you press the button and switch to active, which frequency you need. So we do not need to go to the ground services, because in real life this is done by the crew, by the ground services, the baggage, catering service, jetway, all that. So we don't need that. So we're just gonna say we are departing straight out.
Goiania ground 0516-320 heavy
So it
with
says,
uniform request taxi for takeoff departing straight out.
So it says Goiania ground. You identify yourself 0516-320 heavy, because we are full weight. So every time the aircraft is full weight, you always inform yourself that you are heavy. So as I said before, this is not a decision that the pilots made. This is informed from the airliner or the freighter company before the flight. That means the pilot knows from advance if he's gonna be heavy, if he's gonna be lighter or normal. So you always have to be very specific when you are going through the radio. You cannot spend any more time on the radio, because if you are in a very busy airport, like right now we are in an international airport in Goiania, which is not a busy airport. But if you are in many other airports in the whole in the world, there is many airports that you cannot, actually you have to wait to talk, which is, so right here you can see you start telling the ATC, which is Goiania ground 0516, you identify yourself, 320 heavy with uniform request taxiing for takeoff, departing straight out. So the tower tells you back 0516 320 heavy, taxi to and hold short of runway 14 using taxiway Charlie Alpha crossway runway 32 Bravo. Contact tower on 118.7 when ready. That means when the aircraft he has already taxed to through the taxiway using each taxiway that the ATC told you. When the pilot is ready, you just need to contact tower to tell you that you are ready. And then if the runway is busy, if there's any aircraft aligning with the runway, the tower will let you know. If everything is okay, it's going to tell you that you are clear to take off. So we go back to as the flight plan says, runway 14. So we are going to put the weight that we have it. Again, you do not have to make this calculation by yourself, because this is already given to you through the dispatcher. But it's always good to know what to do, or maybe recognize if there is anything wrong with because human can make errors. So if there's any error, you're going to be able to recognize and correct, make any correction that might be needed. So we have 105,000 pounds of full weight. That means the aircraft, the fuel, the passengers, and the cargo. So we have 105,558. So you just come over here, press 105.6. So you put a little bit up, then a little bit down, because so that the flaps, it is one air conditioner on, anti-ice off. You do not need to force to go take off or go around toga. So you just calculate. It's going to tell you that the V1, V2, the rotate speed, the preference, and the temperature. MTOW, Mike Tango Oscar Whiskey, maximum takeoff weight. So it tells you that maximum it's 183.6. We are 105.6. So we good. So now we have our runway. So if you ask yourself why pilots waste so many time in the cockpit, that's what they do. They are preparing the flight with pretty much security and checklist after checklists, preparing every single step before takeoff. Because as the old saying, in the sky there's no parking lot, so you can stop and check what is wrong. So you have to be Very careful and do it that everything in the ground. Period. So right now we have the cost indexed 53070. This is a very short flight. Temperature 58. When you got that, computer tells you rates cleared. You clear that message. After that, you press, as you can see here, you press left. It's going to give you the full weight that you have. And over here, you got in pounds how much fuel you have. Since we put in kilos and we change to pounds, we go over there and we switch again. You inform the dispatch if you need more fuel or not. If you need it, you tell it. You do not take off with less fuel. If you do not feel secure with the fuel that you have, or you detect through here, checking the fuel window right there, if you see there's any leak or anything wrong with the fuel and the pump start working, the crossfeed start working, you gotta be monitored all the time. It doesn't matter if the flight's short, if it's a long flight, you always pay attention. You always pay attention. You do not use your phone. You do not go on a computer. You do not do nothing. You always monitor. There's always something to do. So all these screens here, they have a purpose. All these informations here, even is a very easy aircraft to fly. It doesn't matter that you are managing, that actually the aircraft is flying by itself. You have to pay attention and always manage the aircraft, because if anything goes wrong, you go and you take care of what is happening. We're gonna keep going on part 2. I'm gonna finish it off in a couple minutes. This part, preparing the flight, and then after we're gonna do the second part of the flight. So we do not have this, so we have here the numbers. We got 150, got 150 knots, 150 knots on V1, 152 knots on V2, and 150 knots on rotate. So we put that on our FMC. We change our fuel because we do not need this much fuel. So we go and put, as our flight plan informs me, that we need 5,493 pounds of fuel. That includes the reserve to this very short flight. So we apply. This is just the simulating on the airplane. It is not your responsibility to do this. This is from another group. As you can see here, our center of gravity is still on green, even that we get a little close to the never on the red lines. Never. This is very, very important. After we do that, automatically the computer tells you that disagree with the fuel capability. So what we do, we go in the FMC and we press the real fuel that we have, with the real weight that we have, zero fuel weight, zero fuel weight, center gravity 23.7. So right now you can see the disagree message disappeared. So now we put this much fuel that we have here on the FMC. So we have 500 and 5,500. So we go and put 50.5. So we go on the block. Five 0.5. Zero 0.0. So initiating fuel prediction. So now we have a flight plan. Where are we going? We do not need a co-route. It's a very short flight. We have our cost indexed, have our flight number. This is because we are trying to do a manually entry. Because, so right now we have the speeds. So what we have here is 150, 150, 152. So we need to put 150, 150, 152 on the FMC. So for those who doesn't know, FMC stands for Flight Management Computer. As we got the details, which is informed to us, we have flap 1.5 up. So we have to go 1/1.5 up. Then you go here, and then flax temperature you have here, then you go next phase. Now the flight plan. So flight plan says that we go SB Sierra Bravo Golf Oscar 2 Sierra Bravo Alpha November. We need to inform the computer, because we are doing manually, that this is not our route. Our route is after we're going to inform the computer that we are taking off from runway 14. We are not using any waypoints. Insert that. So now the computer knows that we are using that. So next thing we need to inform is our next waypoint. So this is informed by the dispatcher. The pilot have that information on his hands. So we keep going. Next one is GO002. So Golf Oscar 002. Let's insert that. Golf Oscar 002. Then you insert. Then you go to the next page. Keep going. Now we are going to Anapolis airspace. So we got Alpha November 004. Insert. Next we have Delta Oscar Delta Mike Alpha which is the next waypoint right before the runway. So right now we gonna put our arrival, which tells us it's runway 06 left. So we are not going to put our landing right now because there's no needed, because we need to get this information from the tower. So now we change. We have the information here from airports. We have the range control, so we can see what's gonna be our route, and we're gonna use the plan so we can see what's gonna be the route that the airplane is gonna be making, which is a big deal. So we're gonna reduce the range so we can see everything that we're gonna be doing. I'm gonna darker and change a little bit the time so we can see a little bit better. Let me just hide a little bit from the sun so we can see better our route. So as you can see here, this is very important. You need to flight plan discontinue. So what we do is we put what the flying plan told us. No waypoints. Insert. Press clear, then we delete the flight plan discontinue. So now the computer recognizes our route. So you can see here we are taking off from Sierra Bravo Golf Oscar. Then we go to next, and next. Then there's something wrong here, so you can fix that. We're gonna clear. We got the 21, we got the 02, we got the 04, we got the dogma. So we have to clear that. Clear that again. Alpha November 06. So now if we go to our plan, it is working just like as we have in our flight plan. But this again will never happen in real life because you have everything already studied and calculated from the dispatcher. So once we got that, we always make sure everything is all right. Now we have our climb rate, and we're gonna be at 7,000. Normally the climb rate we go automatically. So now we change to our, you can check it out in our navigation if everything is alright. Whenever we are close to, we use our ILS. So now we're going to turn on our APU. We press our power, master source, APU, and we start. As you can see here, the APU is starting, and you can come over here. Press APU, you're going to see pressure, the APU going up, temperature, after APU is on, the light will come off. We don't need the crossfeed because the crossfeed is working. Now the APU is on, so we can turn it off, the external power. Now we're gonna use our APU bleed. So the APU bleed it's a compressor. So it's fed to stage, so you can start the main engine. So press that, and now we're gonna be able to start our engine. Before that, we are obligated to press the beacon lights. The beacon lights are to inform anybody that is close to the aircraft that the engine, it is about to turn it on, it is on, or it is about to turn it off. So that what the beacon lights serve. So we got the beacon light right there, informing, especially at night, and this arrow here that you can see, this little pin, has a purpose. Many people think this is just for beautiful or for, no, this is to inform if any mechanic are close by to the engine, inform the mechanic that the engine is still running. That's why when the aircraft are stopped for maintenance, or always the mechanics, you see they put the covers on the engines, behind the engines and in front of the engines, and each and every pitot, because it's critical to protect the aircraft, and always also the windshield to protect the screen, the window. Um, of course, many people asks, um, you have a way to open the window if you want to. Many pilots love that because they don't like to be, all the time in the air conditioner, so they close. Some people, chit chat with the mechanics when they're ready, you know. So